Gavin Newsom, he's had diarrhea of the mouth this weekend. He's on that stupid book tour, Young Man in a Hurry. Now, the thing that blew up yesterday was he went to Atlanta, and he's talking to the Atlanta mayor, Andre Dickens, a black man. And he's on stage, and he's done this before. Now, the crowd has been described as mostly black, mostly white, a mix. Based on video I've seen, I'd call it a mix. But it's funny how people who hate Newsom says it's an all-black crowd, and he insulted all these people. Well, there was no audible reaction from the crowd that they were being insulted. And the people who defend Newsom are saying, that was a white crowd. You're going to hear what he said, and something entirely different pisses me off. And it's not about the racial insinuations here. And he's talking about his SAT score. So play cut 6.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Okay. 960 is really low for an SAT score. The top SAT score that you get is 1,600. You get 800 on math and 800 on the reading. So 960 is really low. It's below average. I went on ChatGPT, and that equates to an IQ of between 93 and 97.
Because I cannot read.
And he claims he cannot read. So an average IQ, dead set middle average IQ in the world is 100. So at 93 is well below the average IQ. It's in the low average category. So this guy thinks he's so desperately trying to confuse the reality that he's a rich kid, a rich, privileged kid who had most of his businesses started by the Getty family, and the Getty family were oil billionaires. And so he's trying to confuse that issue by saying, well, really, I was stupid. Now, I agree he's stupid because only a stupid person would spend $37 billion over 8 years and end up with more homelessness. So I give him the point. Yes, you're stupid. And you have numerical proof that you're stupid. A 960 IQ. In fact, in another interview, he's saying, look, I only got into college because of my partial baseball scholarship, which, of course, his baseball coaches have disputed. But all right, let me grant you that. My whole point is he's telling us he was so stupid, he got a lousy SAT score, which equates to a low IQ score, and I think that's kind of obvious. And, he couldn't really get into a college without an alleged fake baseball scholarship. I'm buying all this. Fine. But this is how he's selling himself. And then he thinks people in the audience are stupid. By the way, he is talking to a black mayor. He's in a majority black city. There's a lot of black people in the audience. And it's look like he's saying, hey, look, I can't read either, just like you. I got low SAT scores just like you. Well, how is this a sales pitch? And then on top of it, this clip was out, for 5 minutes. And somebody flagged that he's lying again because listen to his own podcast. He's talking with Amy Parnas and Jonathan Allen. They had a book about the 2024 election. They were his guests, and he opened with this.
Amy, Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. You've written a hell of a book, and I don't say that lightly. I went through it in a quick hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
What?
And trust me, I don't read very fast, but it reads at an unbelievable pace. It's so well written. And of course, it's so familiar because I felt a little bit adjacent to so much of the subject matter, but it's 18 chapters. It's an impressive piece of work, 263 or so pages.
So he did 263 pages in what, an hour and a half? And I don't read fast, but I read fast. And then he tells the group in Atlanta he doesn't read at all. What? If you really have dyslexia, you're not reading a 263-page book in an hour and a half. That is a lot of pages, even if you have normal reading skills.
Well, you skim it. You don't really read it.
He's so pathological and compulsive. And in the modern world where everything is recorded and saved and gets regurgitated, he still keeps doing this. He can't control himself. When we come back, he did an interview with Dana Bash about running for president and about California's economy. On from 3 to 6 now, and then after 6, the podcast, John Kobylt Show On Demand, will be available on the iHeart app. Follow us at John Kobylt Radio on social media at John Kobylt Radio, and subscribe on YouTube to our videos. We add new videos often during the week. YouTube.com/@JohnKobyltShow. YouTube.com/@JohnKobyltShow. Boy, just tracking all of Gavin Newsom's horse manure is like a full-time job. So in the last segment, we played you a clip where he's telling a crowd in Atlanta, talking to a black mayor, a mixed audience, but he's trying to say, the message was, I'm just like you. I can't read, and I got a low score on my SAT. And everybody jumped on the racial angle. But to me, you're telling everybody you can't read and you got a low SAT score. You're saying, vote for me. I'm stupid. How is that a selling point? Why would even stupid people don't want another stupid person running things? But Newsom is trying to relate. He's telling the public, it's like, I'm like you. I can't read. Well, no, actually, most people can read. What the hell? But what's even nuttier is he was on his own podcast just a few months ago, and he had 2 authors on, and he opened he loved the book they wrote, and he said, I read your book in an hour and a half, 263 pages. Well, I thought you can't read. Now you can read 263 pages in an hour and a half. Unbelievable. But wait, there's more. He goes on with Dana Bash on CNN over the weekend, and he tells her about people moving into the state. Cut 3, sorry.
California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California. Yeah. They moved out of California because they couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth.
Okay, all right, stop. Wait, I stepped on that. Roll it back 5 seconds and then...
Hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th largest economy in the world.
Stop there. Okay. He's had hundreds of thousands of people move into California. And we've had population growth the last few years. So I went to ChatGPT, and they use U.S. Census numbers. So follow me here. In 2020, California's population was 39,538,000. In 2021, it was 39,237,000. That is a drop, is it not? He's the governor. That's down 300,000. 2022, 39,029,000. That is a drop as well. Another 200,000. Now it's down 500,000 in 2 years. Wait, there's more. And by the way, I typed in a request for how many legal residents are in California. Keep that in mind. These are legal residents. 2023, we had 38,965,000. Uh-oh. That is down another 50,000 or so. 2024, it's down to 38,900,000. Wow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 years in a row of losses. And now all of a sudden, we have 1.5 million fewer people living here. Now, play that part of the clip again, if you would. We're down 1.5 million legal residents in the last 5 years.
Hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth.
Complete lie. Of course, what's Dana Bash supposed to do? She's on live television or it's recorded live, and she can't go on her phone and get an AI site to tell her what the real numbers are. I'm telling you the real numbers. He went on national television on CNN and just blatantly lied, just the same way he was lying on stage that he couldn't read, but he's telling authors on his podcast that he can read very fast. Yeah, we lost 1.5 million people to 5 years. Legal residents, that's net. Now, of course, there's always people moving into California, which is what he was focusing on. But there's lots of people leaving California, like that Tennessee couple that Dana Bash referenced. But he talks really fast and he jumps around. So now let's play that whole clip again.
California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California. Yeah. They moved out of California because they couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th largest economy in the world, and we dominate now in every key industry, from AI, quantum, robotics. We dominate in ag. We dominate forestry.
Okay. All right. Stop. Our economy is heavily overweighted into tech companies. We have the highest poverty in the country, highest poverty rate in the country. It's not even close. But he points out that we're dominating in AI. Dominating in quantum. Most people don't know what that is. Dominated in robotics. Two things there. I would say 90%, way over 90% of the public does not work in AI, does not work in quantum, does not work in robotics. So it doesn't mean anything to them. Secondly, things like AI and robotics are going to be taking away people's jobs more than they're going to be creating jobs. At least that's the fear that most normal people have, since nobody can really explain all this because nobody knows. So he's bragging about industries that most people do not work in and will never work in. And he's bragging about industries where there's a good chance it will take away their jobs. And he's bragging about industries that these industries are extremely successful, but they're only a small piece of the California story, because we have way more people in poverty and way more people struggling just to pay the rent or the mortgage every month. But you see what he does? All right, we come back. His shamelessness continues. And Bash asked Newsom, what's going to determine whether you run for president? We'll talk about that when we come back. The California Democratic Party had a big gathering in San Francisco. Their main topic, a lot of candidates were given their pitches, was affordability. We're going to have John Fleischman on. He is a writer and commentator. SoDoesItMatter.com is his website, because all the economic numbers, we're off the charts in California in terms of how expensive everything is. And we've had full Democratic run now for 15 solid years, and we're at the top of the charts in costs across the board. And they had a convention discussing affordability. Yeah, they really did. Let's go back to Dana Bash from CNN with Newsom. All right, here's this question about what's going to determine whether you run for president. Well, he is already running for president, but go ahead.
What are the metrics that will determine whether you run for president?
There's 5 of them.
Dutch, Brooklyn, Hunter. You get the drift.
Want me to help you name the rest of your kids?
No. But the biggest one is Jennifer. So,
Exactly.
It's gonna look. This book was dedicated to them. I wish this was a book my parents wrote.
Do they want you to run?
And it's gonna be. I don't know. It depends on the day. And my son Romy, it was very powerful. Texted me a few months ago when there was some headline that suggested that I had made some decision, and he goes, "Dad, are you running president?" I said, "No, we'll do the decision as a family." He goes, "You can't." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "I'm too young. You need to spend more time with us." I mean, how do you deal with that one? I screenshot it. If I have my phone, I'd show you.
How do you deal with that one?
Exactly. I'm asking you. Come on.
I'm not running for president.
No,
it's not an
that's the point, and the point is the point. And so
wait, stop. The point is the point?
I'm not running for president.
No,
it's not an
that's the point, and the point is the point.
But right now, he's not with them. He's on a book tour. You don't have to go out on a book tour. You can stay home.
The point is the point.
You don't have to go to Atlanta and pander to black voters by claiming you have a low SAT score and you can't read, just like them. You're going to stay at home with your kids. God, I wonder, does his family realize he's full of it?
And the point is the point.
I mean, we all knew what our parents really were like, right? By the time we hit double digits, we knew.
My kids think I'm amazing.
Amazing what?
And the point is the point.
That's right. I say that to them often.
All right. Play cut 5 here. This is Newsom saying that the Democrats need to be more normal.
The prism of purely politics. There's no doubt that the Democratic Party needs to be, dare I say, more culturally normal. I believe that.
Stop. He signed a law that allows men and boys to compete in women's and girls' sports in college and high school. He signed that law, but he's saying the Democratic Party needs to be more culturally normal. For the first, 100,000 years that human beings roamed the planet, everybody, going back to cave days, knew who the guy was and knew who the girl was. And knew the reasons they needed to be separated. You never had to articulate that. It cracks me up for like the last 10 years when I hear people publicly explaining why men and women are different or why it's unfair to say that men and women are different. And every time I go, my God, what a bizarre time we're in. But he wants the Democrats to be culturally normal. Well, you ought to repeal your own stupid law. Got one more clip to play. This is Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and he's got Newsom's number.
Gavin Newsom, one thing I would tell you, if you want to go back to boxing, that guy cannot take a punch. I mean,
what do you mean?
He likes to dish it out, but you push back on him, and he gets completely flustered. I mean, it is, you bark at him, and he...
Glass jaw.
Glass jaw, and I think like slow brain.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when you got a 93 IQ, yeah, it's pretty slow. And I noticed that about him, probably 6-7 years ago, his first year or two, when he was governor. And I'll remember he had a little gaggle of press people around him. I think he was in Fresno. I don't know what the issue was. So they were gathered around him, and one reporter, it was a female reporter for Fresno TV, asked him a really hard question. And hardly anybody had done that because at that time, he was untouchable, golden boy, just so handsome. And she hits him with a real hard one, and he didn't know what to say because he's not trained in being attacked. And he's like, he's just a babbling fool. And I noticed after that, he rarely was in those situations. And because he can't think on his feet. He can't respond well. I saw that when he debated Ron DeSantis on Sean Hannity's show. He had no response to all the damning facts about California. He just tried to talk over the top of everybody and just constantly lie and deny everything.